I understand that it's the nature of the beast for the WWE that some weeks you're going to have good shows, some weeks you're going to have bad shows, and I understand that. And sometimes I'm willing to roll with that, even if I don't necessarily like it. But I can't be the only one that thought that this week's Raw was incredibly and completely fucking boring. And furthermore, I can't be the only one that felt like the WWE was resigned to this fate, that they were just determined that this was going to be a bad show. So they flat out didn't care and put forth zero effort to try and make it an entertaining show at all. I can tolerate a lot of things, but one thing I can't tolerate is, whether it's real or perceived, is a lack of effort. Have some professionalism, have some damn pride in what the hell you do. And it's sad because the WWE really is the face of professional wrestling. And when I sit there and watch shows like this week's Raw, I sit there and I get the reality smacking me square in my big fucking schnoz, saying, oh my God, this is the face of professional wrestling in this country. And what a sad state of affair this is. There is no excuse for the amount of boredom that I felt during this week's show. There is no excuse for my perceived lack of effort from the WWE to try and do anything other than bore the brakes off of me for 3 fucking hours. Totally inexcusable. So if the WWE is not going to put forth full effort, neither will I this week. Instead of giving you a full comprehensive review of the show, just going to talk about a couple of things and then move the fuck on. One thing that was glaringly obvious was the lack of star power on the show. Oh my God. You only have Brock Lesnar for that one little pre-recorded segment, so I don't even know if that really fully officially counts. But no Triple H, no Stephanie, no Chris Jericho, no Randy Orton, no Dean Ambrose, and there's still no Daniel Bryan. This was glaringly obvious as you're watching the show. There just weren't that many compelling, interesting characters for you to give a shit about. But that's still, again, no excuse for the WWE putting forth what seemed like so little effort to do anything other than be resigned to the fact that they were going to bore the brakes off of us all night long. Just because you don't have these other people doesn't mean that you can't give us something interesting and compelling. And from the very beginning, I had a feeling where this show was heading once I saw that they were doing this Hall of Fame for him. I mean, you've got HBK, and you've got Ric Flair, and you've got Hulk Hogan. And you're trying to sit there and get us to feel fucking sympathy for John Cena. You're trying to sit there and get us excited about the rematch between Cena and Brock Lesnar at Night of Champions by having a guy in his mid-40s and 2 guys in their freaking 60s passing judgment on whether or not Cena has any chance against Brock Lesnar. And how funny was it? Flair's kind of middle of the road, but leaning towards, no, he can't do it. He shouldn't even bother. HBK's just diving full in, saying, I wouldn't even bother because you have no freaking chance. And here's Hogan, of all damn people, the voice of reason. And yes, I had to choke back a little bit of vomit spewing up from my throat area listening to him praise John Cena, but he's the one actually using logic here. He's the one actually remembering to bother to mention the fact that Cena did beat Brock Lesnar back in 2012, and in a way, this would be the rubber match. And this is a guy that's a 15-time WWE champion. This is a guy that's done all of this. As Flair said, he's the franchise piece, and Hogan seems to be not giving up on him. And the whole dynamics of this were just ridiculous because, of course, Cena comes out, and instead of being different, it's same old stupid shit Cena. Instead of saying, I'm going to win back my fucking title and screw all the non-believers, screw all the doubters, he sits there and says, I'm not going there to beat Brock Lesnar. I'm going there to beat Brock Lesnar's ass. This reminds me so much of the playground mentality in basketball, in the sense that you're playing, 5-on-5, let's say full court, and you get worked over a couple of times by the guy that you're defending, but your team wins. Everybody's whooping and hollering about the fact this guy crossed you over once, this guy dunked in your face once, but your team gets to run all day long because you keep winning by 10 or 15 points every fucking time. So, of course, the playground mentality is, let's praise the guy who did the spectacular shit when his team totally got decimated. No, I don't give a shit. If a guy's going to dunk in my face, but my team wins by 20, I'll take that every fucking time, because obviously at some point in time for my team to win by that much, I had to do something right. I had to get my pasty mongoose ass out there and do something incredible. You would think. The whole notion, the whole name of the game is to fucking win. Doesn't matter if you beat the guy's ass. He has the title. So the whole notion of what John Cena wants to do is fucking ridiculous, especially considering now he's so pissed off. He just wants to beat Brock Lesnar's ass. He got the ass kicking of a lifetime, and he got decimated unlike he ever has been before. Yet 8 days later, here he is with no bruising, no scars, no worse for wear, no limping, holding up his freaking merchandise and looking like the same old fucking John Cena. And this is the whole goddamn problem with WWE and this fucking guy. There is no storytelling with John Cena. 8 days later, after the ass kicking of his lifetime, he's sitting there and acting like nothing's wrong. Oh, he's going to change, except he says the same old shit. And wouldn't you know, by God, instead of actually trying to tell a story with this character in some way, shape, or form that would interest us in any way, you do the same old shit in a main event that I didn't watch. I had to go back and look at the results because I had a feeling how it was going to go in some degree. Cena was going to be made to look strong and dominant. And wouldn't you know, even if it went from Cena versus Bray Wyatt, a match I have no interest in seeing, to being the six-man tag, wouldn't you know, he's tapped out somebody and then he hit a couple of AAs. It's the same old bullshit with this guy. The problem with John Cena's story is that his character in the WWE can't tell a fucking story with him. WWE, when we said we wanted you to push wrestlers that were not white, when we wanted you maybe to push some wrestlers with color, we didn't mean Goldust and Stardust and their freaking face paint and having them turn on the Usos. It's almost like the WWE intentionally goes out of their way to make certain individuals boring as shit. I mean, like they really seem to bend over backwards to do it. Like Sheamus. It's like they've gone out of their way to just completely make this guy completely uninteresting in any way, shape, or form. He's sitting there in his stupid ass outfit, whatever the fuck he is. He's commentating during Cesaro and RVD's match. Winner gets him and a shot at the U.S. title at freaking Night of Champions. Whoopee! Zero interest in Sheamus. And the WWE has taken a guy that I like in Cesaro and made him completely and totally fucking boring. How can you do that? It's like you seek out to do it. Why would you do it? And then later on, I see the IC champion Dolph Ziggler being made as boring as he possibly can against a guy like the freaking Miz. Or in this case, the Miz has a freaking stunt double. They utilized Damian Sandow here well. I actually like the whole concept of a freaking stunt double. But here's a guy in Dolph Ziggler, and I'm sorry, but you gotta face facts. The guy is fucking boring. And it's because the WWE goes out of their way to make certain individuals boring. They've done it with Sheamus. They've done it with Cesaro. And whether you like it or not, they most certainly have done it with Dolph Ziggler. Just think about it. Why would you go out of your way to ruin guys like this? When they announced that the Bellas were going to have a segment on Raw, you could just hear the collective groans through people's flaming keyboard fingers of fire as they were typing and tweeting and posting all over social media because they knew this had train wreck possibilities. They knew that this could be another brutally bad Bella segment featuring more terrible acting, incredibly wishy-washy story, and it would just suck. And it did. It lived up to the expectations. I understand WWE, that you kind of put yourself into a bit of a corner, a bit of a box here in the fact that you went with Brie versus Stephanie. There had to be something to spring off of that to continue. You went Bella versus Bella, and you got to follow up on it a little bit. At least you're not completely dropping it. But I find it interesting that the WWE themselves, to me, is basically admitting that this isn't going that well and that this is kind of the suck. When they didn't even devote the entire 15-minute, 2-hour main event segment to it, if you notice, they only gave it like half of it, and then they moved right the fuck on because they knew this was going to be bad. They knew that this was going to be more bad acting, more nonsensical storytelling, and it was just going to go over largely like a fart in church, and that's exactly what it did. The quicker you move on from this, the better off it is for all people involved. If you're literally just doing this so that way it can appear in Total Divas down the road, then shame on you, WWE, because we shouldn't be made to suffer through this type of hot garbage. And even with the Bellas and their horrible acting, This could be so much better. But the WWE takes something that could be so simplistic and genius and convolutes the ever-loving piss out of it. As I mentioned at the beginning, I understand not every show is going to be good. And I understand that some shows are just going to be flat out bad. But again, I cannot tolerate what I perceive to be a total and complete lack of effort. And that's what I really felt like I got from the WWE this week. The only thing that I really appreciated about this show was the fact that they didn't go so over the top and get so asinine with their WWE network plugs. They didn't do anything outrageous or ridiculous or over the top with it. They promoted it and plugged it at decent intervals in a respectable way, but that was it. This show is just, like I said, was just so goddamn boring. It shouldn't be this boring. Professional wrestling, above all else, should be fun. And I know I forget that sometimes. All of you watching that, frankly, forget that sometimes too. But it most certainly seems like the WWE has forgotten this. It's regimented. It's watered down. They're going out of their way, it seems like, to make guys fucking boring as piss. They're giving us incredibly convoluted, stupid-ass storylines featuring bad actresses like Nikki and Brie, whatever the fuck, Bella. Just no! 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 It's not even so much at this point us as fans demanding better or expecting better. WWE, you should expect better and frankly demand better out of yourself. And excuse the fuck out of me, but you're going to move SmackDown to Thursdays in October and go head to head against Thursday Night Football, continuing to do this type of crap? God bless. Good luck to you. Because God knows you're going to fucking need it.